And this is, October 13th, 2015. So today we're going to do some fun stuff. We're going to talk about computer dating. Does it work? Does it suck? How successful are you when you do it? How do you do it and make it successful? I don't know. I don't have a clue because I'm on the negative side. I haven't done well with computer dating. So that's going to be coming up. And then the second hour, we're going to do planetary healing circle the whole hour, and we're going to focus on Fukushima. And after I read you the radiation count this week, you may want to call some friends and ask them to join in so we can give this some really positive energy because it certainly needs attention. So we're going to get right to a little bit of I'm going to talk about radiation in Fukushima while we're waiting for Miss D to call in, and then we'll talk about computer dating. So, how many of you out there actually fly on airplanes? And how many are frequent flyers? Well, are you aware of the mysterious illness that strikes hundreds of flight attendants every year, causes rashes and hair loss? And of course, the industry wants to say their uniforms are toxic, but can we actually put the blame on Fukushima? Now, it may not be commonly known, but airline flight crews are currently classified as radiation workers. Did you hear that? Yeah, that gave you warm fuzzies? I'll read that again. Airline flight crews are currently classified as radiation workers, a federal designation that means they are consistently exposed to radiation. Flight crews on high latitude routes, in fact, are exposed to more radiation on an annual basis than nuclear plant workers. But unlike in other fields, radiation exposure is not measured in the airline industry, nor are there any standards or limits regarding exposure. I mean, really, when's the last time you flew? Have you noticed the flight crews getting a little older, getting a little crankier? And have you checked their hair? Have you noticed how a lot of them, their hair is thinning? So pay attention when you fly. And wow, a couple of years ago, they actually were trying to put together some kind of model to figure out how much radiant exposure pilots, crew, and passengers on commercial flights get. Now, estimating radiation has really been a concern to pilots, crews, and scientists for a long time. So it's, very interesting to predict or try to predict cosmic background radiation, but then you also have to put solar storm radiation. And my God, now that we've got Fukushima, I bet you they're not even looking at this data. But passenger and flight crews are exposed to radiation because the shielding from Earth's atmosphere against high energy solar particles and cosmic rays is weaker at normal cruising altitudes than at the surface. The threat is even greater for flight paths that take planes near the poles because the momentum shielding by Earth's magnetic field is weaker at higher altitudes. The concern is greatest for flight crews and frequent flyers because of their consistent exposure over long periods. Now, most aviation-related research on cosmic radiation has focused on the potential damage to communication and also navigation technology. And little of it is actually centered on human health. And again, if you fly, because airplanes fly in so much high radiation now that a lot of times their parts just fall off. So, I would be doing a lot of praying before I got on the planes. And trust me, I do. So research has found that passengers and crews are being exposed to more radiation than previously thought. Well, duh. And then it's amplified during significant solar events. And you're even exposed to more higher radiation levels. You know, people on flights that are flying when there's solar events are exceeding their radiation exposure limit, and they don't even know it. I think anybody that flies nowadays is really getting blasted with so much radiation that, boy, if you don't do a lot of cleansing when you get off the plane, you are crazy. So let's get to our weekly radiation report. And again, it's not pretty. The radiation count is up again, almost 500 CPMs. Now, a CPM is radiation counts per minute. A count is one radioactive decay registered by the instrument. So anything, normal radiation, as I said before, is 5 to 20 CPMs. Anything over 20 CPMs gets into the danger mode. So just for something different, we're going to start at the lowest radiation and go to the highest level city that has the highest radiation. So the lowest radiation city in the United States is guess. Come on, guess. Can you guess? Yes, if you guessed Washington, D.C., you are correct. So it's one of those good thing, bad things. You know, you're happy, but it still kind of doesn't matter, because even if they're the lowest, there's still 412 CPMs. Now, remember when I said 20? Anything over 20 was bad. So, I mean, 412, you know, as opposed to what I'm going to tell you is the highest rad level city that has the highest radiation level in the country. You know, this 412 doesn't sound too bad. Okay, then we go to Las Vegas, Nevada. Hi, Diane. Let me finish reading this and I'll get right to you, okay? Hello? Hello, Diane? Okay. Des Moines, Iowa is 621. San Francisco is 658. Sacramento, California, 673. Fort Wayne, Indiana, 684. Dallas, Texas, 714. Chicago, Illinois, 733. Diane? Hello? Diane, are you there?
Hello.
I hear you. Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay. Oh, let me finish reading the rad level, and then I'll bring you on, okay?
Okay.
All right. So St. Paul, Minnesota is 735. New York City, New York, 783. Carlsbad, New Mexico, 784. Lincoln, Nebraska, 805. San Angelo, Texas, 836. Indianapolis, Indiana, 837. Montgomery, Alabama, 937. Boston, Massachusetts, 938. Los Angeles, California, 952. Phoenix, Arizona, 968. Fort Worth, Texas, 994. Atlanta, Georgia, 1,000. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 1,009. Pierre, South Dakota, 1,018. Rapid City, South Dakota, 1,019. Tucson, Arizona, 1,080. Champaign, Illinois, 1,081. Lubbock, Texas, 1,097. Pittsburgh, Pasadena, 1,133. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1,242. Little Rock, Arkansas, 1,303. San Diego, California, 1,322. Bakersfield, California, 1,357. Portland, Oregon, 1,422. Miami, Florida, 1,425. Spokane, Washington, 1,532. Concord, New Hampshire, 1,551. Omaha, Nebraska, 1,624. Kansas City, Kansas, 1,757. And we are going to get to the winner this week that has the highest radiation count in America at 2,710. Goes to Billings, Montana. Very scary. So this is why, people, we are doing a light circle and going to focus some energy on Fukushima. And remember what I said, anything under 20 rads isn't good. And there's no place under 400. So please share that with people, talk about it, because you might be saving a life, bringing it up to a friend's attention that we are living in a radiated world and we need to focus and be conscious and cleanse and take extra vitamins and be alert and share that knowledge with other people. Because like I said, you could be saving their lives. So hi, Miss D, how are you?
I'm fine. Just waiting to get started.
Okay, I'm running a little late. So we're talking.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the fun thing about computer dating. You've got the pros because you've had good experiences, and I am going to go with the nays because my computer experiences just sucked a big one. So on that note, I'm going to let you begin.
Okay. Well, I want to first give a disclaimer that I have been married for 10 years and engaged for about 2 years before that, so I haven't been on lately. So my information may be a bit dated, but I think the principles still hold true. So
That's true. I just say, we aren't experts. This is just the learn by doing program. We live through the experience, like you guys do. But, we aren't really great experts. Okay. Okay. We're good.
Well, I certainly did it for a number of years, so if that counts for anything, I learned a lot. I actually went through it as it was just evolving. I was an early adopter and got on when it was mainly geeks. It was mainly engineers who were on there, and maybe a few predators, I don't know, some strange people. But over time, I saw it quickly evolve to being a much more mainstream medium, so that I saw all walks of life signing up online, and I was dating all sorts of people. I'd also like to say that dating online is like a lot of things online. It's internet time, which means it's greatly speeded up. So if it seems like you're meeting a lot of jerks, think about your lifetime overall whenever you've been single. And you probably met a lot more jerks than quality people. It's just you're meeting them now in a span of a couple of weeks instead of a span of about 5 to 10 years.
So that makes me feel so much better.
It feels like there's more jerks. It's just more jerks per day than what you have met in the past.
Well, it is so, I found it to be, and again, this is through my own personal experiences, that, and I didn't go from it, way back when it first started. So I probably got into it when the predators are in full bloom, because I seem to be like a predator magnet. And I have such a hard time because the conversation I find is so disassociated. I'll write something and then maybe, in a little while they write back and then I'll read it. And then I find that I either have to go get a man interpretation with somebody else that actually understands guys. And it's always something else that I thought. So I always go with their interpretation because it's always more positive. Or I get really mad because that information and what that person said, which I took probably out of context, and it just kind of molds around, and then I react and I write back, and it's like, I just haven't learned to back away from the computer.
Well, again, let me say a few things about how it's different than regular dating. Most people don't just write to one person and think, gee, I hope they write me back. It's a numbers game, like a lot of sales endeavors. And so one person, male or female, might write to, in a given span of, let's say, 3 to 5 days, they might write to anywhere from 3 to 10 people.
Holy cow.
And then it's a matter of trying to remember, who did you say what to? So part of my advice is take notes. You really need to have a scorecard. And I don't mean to score people. I mean to just keep track of the details. So I, honest to goodness, had a spreadsheet where I would have the date that I first contacted the person or we made contact, their first name if they gave it, if they weren't just using their screen name. So their first name, their last name if I knew it, their purported age, because that's one of the main things people lie about, but the age they claim to be, the occupation they claim to have, the number of kids, if any, and genders, ages, where they claim to be living. I mean, what information have you exchanged with this person so you don't get them confused with somebody else? So if you were getting disjointed emails, it could be they were mistaking you for somebody else they were writing to. You were getting something that was a non sequitur to something you had written. I'll tell you, the worst is you go to meet somebody somewhere, and honest to goodness, it happened to me once where, the pictures generally aren't real dead on, so you're kind of like, well, is that the guy that I'm supposed to be meeting? And I talked for about 10 minutes to somebody. We both thought that they were somebody else. We were both supposed to be meeting somebody else, and we were talking to each other for about 10 minutes. Because there was some other meeting going on that night, and we just sort of had a miss.
That's a brilliant, I never thought about that before. It's like, damn. That's why you have a disjointed conversation too. I don't think people are normally as organized as you are. I am blown away going, wow.
Well, one of the guys I told about this told me that I had turned internet dating into a cottage industry.
You could probably sell that spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I'm done. And for $5, you too can
organize your online dating
and be happy and not get it all screwed up. Oh, I can see this.
Now let me just take a giant step back and realize it is a numbers game. And the timing can be staggered. You may have written to somebody on a Monday. They had written to somebody last Thursday, and they're already in a conversation back and forth with Thursday's person. They might have had 3 people from last week. You might have been number 4. So if one of the first 3 really, hits their buttons, they may decide, okay, I'm going to give this one a go, and, they stop communicating with you, and you think, what did I say? What did I do? Nothing. You were just late to that particular table. So don't
probably say, thank God.
Well, maybe. Maybe. But
never thought about that either.
It's a medium, and it has different rules. And if you're trying to apply conventional dating rules, face-to-face, meet them at a bar, meet them at a party, it's not going to work. Your expectations are going to be totally different for the way the game gets played. So let's get down to the brass tacks of what is it really all about. It's really about getting a face-to-face meeting, because so many people lie about so much until you sit down across the table and look them eyeball to eyeball. You don't know their age. You don't know their height. You don't know, if they even sent you a picture that was them or something they cut out of GQ. You have no idea until you sit down and meet them, nor do you know if this is a Cyrano de Bergerac. Did they have somebody else writing their email so that they sounded very eloquent and they can't string 3 words together in a sentence in real time? You don't know till you sit down across from them.
I think we call that live action.
Well, okay. So internet dating is more about just meeting somebody to assess them, just giving you sort of like advertising, a broader scope, a broader base to work from. But things don't really start until that first face-to-face meeting. And then nothing in the internet dating can replace chemistry. It's either there or it's not. They can have the most wonderful, scorecard out of everything you've looked at in years, and yet you sit down and go, yawn. It just doesn't do anything for you. So you really have to drive to that first meeting as quickly as possible because everything else is almost a waste of time. You just want to get
Okay.
there.
See, now that probably is my fault because I wasn't, I live on an island in Hawaii, so I don't have a mainland to pull from. And yeah, I get too many people that are not on island that I kind of get interested in. And that's when I really get screwed up because it's so hard to do the face-to-face meeting when you're in Spain and I'm in Hawaii.
Well, there is Skype. You do have internet.
Well, yeah.
I mean, for your circumstances, that would be a second best.
But it's still not meeting the person face to face.
No, but you get a better sense of are they within 10 years of the picture they sent you? You can kind of you would be surprised at some of the pictures people put up in their profiles and what they really look like. Like almost not even recognizable because they're 10 to 20 years older than the picture they put on their profile. Honest to goodness.
Yeah, I'll bet you we're scaring people away with this conversation.
But
I
it's
always
reality.
said you never know if it's that little grandma having a good laugh and taking her grandson's picture and, messing with women.
Yep, you never. I mean, look at even on Big Bang Theory, the way that Sheldon met. I draw a blank on the girl's name, Amy Farrah Fowler. The way he met her was his friends put up a profile, and they exchanged emails with Amy Farrah Fowler to get him to a first date. I mean, people do that. You don't know what you're dealing with until you get a first date. Now, let us remind people, I am married for 10 years to somebody I met on the internet, so it does work, or it can work. So there are stumbles that happened before that, before I got to that point. How do you think I learned these lessons? It's like for every lesson I'm telling you, I screwed up before I got the lesson. Then it was like, chalk up another one. Okay, move on.
Did you have like a revolving door?
Well, what I found is the way I was doing it, which that also changed how I was doing it. But if you put up a profile and you put up a picture and blah, 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 and I don't know what the ratios online are now. I'm sure men still outnumber the women, but when I was on, it was like 50-1 or something ridiculous. That was early on in the history of internet dating. So when you have that kind of a ratio, it's like, oh, look, a female, let me write to her. So if I would put up a picture that I didn't weigh 2,000 pounds and I wasn't 105, I could get 20 emails in 24 hours. And it's like, how the heck do you sort through this? Look at all those profiles, read about it was just kind of crazy. So I got to a point where I thought, number one, it's better if I don't put up a picture at all because then fewer people write to you. So you got a profile up that you can direct people to, and you don't have a picture, which is also better for your own privacy. And it's just if you connect with somebody, you have a couple of email exchanges, it sounds good, and you go, let me send you my picture. Or they might write to you and say, I liked your profile, can you send me a picture? And if you like their profile and their picture, you might say, okay, here you go. So that kind of slows it down a bit if you don't have a picture. Then if you really want to go slow-mo, you take your profile and hide it, and you just proactively contact people and say, here's a copy of my profile. You send it to them as an attachment. Here's my profile. Here's my picture. I liked your profile. What do you think? Do you have any interest?
Now, when you were doing this, you kind of focused on people that were in your area or out of state, in state, what?
When I was doing it, when I wrote to people, I was generally writing to people who were within a 45-minute drive of me, 45 minutes to an hour drive of me. Now, I was in the Chicago area at the time, so that's a lot of people. My husband was 2 states away. The guy I ended up marrying wrote to me from 2 states away, and my initial reaction was, how in the world do you date somebody 2 states away? And I kind of thought, well, you want to come drive 2 states away and knock yourself out. And he did. And he came, and we had a first meeting. We met for brunch on a Sunday. He didn't leave until 8 o'clock that night. It went that well on the first meeting. And he came back like 3 times more in the next 2 weeks. And I thought, this could work. This has got possibilities. So we started trading off weekends so that he was divorced with kids, I was divorced with kids. So when he had his kids, I would drive up there. When I had my kids, he would drive to Chicago, and so it went. And we did that for 2 years. We dated 2 states away for 2 years.
Wow.
Before I moved to where he was. Of course, we both look back at that and go, were we nuts or what? I mean, he had said, if something happened to me, if I dropped dead tomorrow, he couldn't see ever doing that again. He couldn't see doing that much driving. He didn't care who the person was.
Well, that's because you are the love of his life. And after you, why bother?
Well, I don't know.
It's just not
I think
the
we're
same.
just getting old. We're just getting old and too
come
tired.
on. I was just putting some romance in this.
Okay.
Some slack here, okay? Jeez.
If you're really going to work it, if you really want it to work, you have to work it. And so that's my other advice is it is time consuming. So I would not even get online unless I had the time. If I was working a major project with a tight deadline or, one of my kids was having some issues or whatever, no way, no day. I had to have a good, clear road ahead of me before I could devote the time to really working the internet and churning through the profiles. Because, see, that's another thing. Especially if you're in a major metro area, every day of the week, somebody new puts up a profile. So it's like at least every couple of days, you want to go in and see, is there somebody new of interest that I might want to make contact with? So it's and the same thing is the people are seeing you come on, and that's why if you put up your profile, you get a bunch of emails all at once, and then it calms down. But there's that initial flurry.
Now, did you actually? What dating site did you use?
A bunch of different ones. I met my husband on one called Matchmaker.com. I don't even know if they're still in business. Match.com, I did a lot. I met a number of people. See, I met people where I dated them for a while, like 6 months to a year or something, and then one reason or another, things fizzled. So I met a few nice people, a few people where I dated them for a bit. It wasn't like all first meetings. I had a lot of I have no idea how many first meetings I had. No clue. And then I have advice on that too. When you get to that point of a first meeting as quickly as you can, what I found works best is to pick a restaurant with a nice bar and meet early, for a drink, 4:30 or 5 for a drink. Well, if you're working, you can't do it at 5:30, right after work, you meet for a drink. So you meet for a drink. If there's no interest, say thank you for your time, but, I don't think we're a match, whatever, and you just kind of move on. If things are clicking, generally speaking, the guy will say, well, have you had dinner yet? Oh, no. Would you like to stay for dinner? Sure. Plan your schedule so that if it's going well, you can carry it on through dinner. And that could work real well. So that was what worked well for me to get to know somebody better if things were going well.
Wow.
I remember one guy I met, it was going very, very well. From a physical perspective, we were kind of mesmerized with each other. Have you ever had somebody where you're almost struck dumb? It's like, holy cow, I can't believe I'm sitting here with this person. And so it's like we had dinner, we had dessert, they start sweeping up at the restaurant, and I said, I guess you were waiting for me to tell you the date was over, because it's like we just weren't leaving. It was just going real well.
Well, a lot of people get kicked out of restaurants, right?
I guess if you're engaged in what you're doing, what you're saying, and having a good time.
But what you do, and correct me if I'm wrong, you learned how to focus. So if your kids are sick, it's time to give them your attention, your energy 100%. If, you had an important work project, well, that is something you had to give 100% of your time. So when it was time for you to actually um, do the online dating, you waited until you were able to give it full focus. And I'm sure, my God, you had a damn spreadsheet you had to do.
I had a lot of work to do, yes.
I mean, I can see a big poster board,
It
behind
wasn't
the
that big. It
computer,
was a blue line.
and all these guys on it, right? And, did you ever bring anybody home? And if you did you have to hide the spreadsheets?
Again, it wasn't a poster on the wall, so if it's just blue line in a drawer, people don't generally go through your drawers. So, no, nobody came across the spreadsheet and wondered what number they were in line. How many people was I seeing at once? Which brings up another point. It'll take you a number of meetings before you find somebody where you click. So you may have several meet and greets set up over the next week, 10 days, 2 weeks. Let's say you've got 4 set up. And let's say you meet number 2 and he's real promising, but you have 2 other dates still set up that you just kind of want to check them out because they were interesting too. So, yes, you tell Mr. 2 that, this was very nice, you enjoyed it, you'd love to see him again. And, maybe he even right away on the spot asks you for another date, but you got to plan it around your other meets that you have set up. And it's like you can't be offended if the other guy is doing the same thing. In fact, presume the guy is doing the same thing. Presume he's got several other meet and greets set up. That's, again, how the game gets played.
Oh, that's a concept. You always want to think that you are the only one.
Oh,
Damn,
yeah.
you are bursting bubbles right and left over here.
I'm being realistic, and like I say, it worked for me. This way worked. So you just kind of assume there's other people in the picture, and really the only leverage you have, girls, is to hold off on getting physical until you reach a point where they state in so many words, let's be exclusive. Until you hear those words, you just assume you're not, that there are other people hanging around the fringes somewhere. And that's another problem with the internet dating because especially if you're in an urban area, there are new people getting online all the time, and there's this syndrome that sets in that a girlfriend and I called the endless buffet. It's like, have you ever been somewhere where they bring out a new dish you haven't had yet, and you're about ready to burst? You've had plenty to eat, but it's like, oh, but I want to try that. I want to see if I like that. What is that? Or another dessert or whatever, and you go back and go back and go back, and you're about ready to go to the bathroom and vomit, but you don't want to miss anything. Guys seem to be worse at that than women, that they just can't push themselves back from the table and say, okay, I've had enough. They kind of keep going back. And that's why you really got to wait for let's be exclusive. Because until you hear that, just assume you're not. You can be having a good time with the person. You can go out on dates, do fun stuff. You just hold some stuff back for hearing the magic words. And if they start pushing it all, you go, well, I'm sure there's other people. I'm sure you've been meeting other people on the internet. So, until things get to that point, I'm going to wait.
Or you just go ahead and say, we're not going to do anything until you show me your papers.
I'm sorry, which papers are you talking about?
The papers the guys need to show that they're, disease-free.
Oh, okay, those papers. I didn't know if you were talking divorce papers, because, of course, that's another thing. A lot of married men play this game. So
let's go off into the divorce. Let's go that direction. Let's go that direction.
Okay.
Well, isn't that, again, getting to know somebody, and how do you tell if they're married? How can you tell quickly?
Well, one way is, even if they're not wearing a ring, if they're married, there's going to be a dent in their finger where the ring goes. And so that would be a dead giveaway that they're married and they pulled their ring off.
Yeah, you should be a spy.
This is why we're having this radio show, to impart all this information to all the people who want to have internet dating work for them.
You're good.
So you check the finger. That's one of them. Another thing is if you talk to them enough to find out where they live and feel it's legitimate, honest to goodness, you can look online and see if they've filed for divorce, see if there are. That's public knowledge. That's public record. You can look up somebody's divorce papers. If they're really divorced. Now, that brings up an issue that different people have different viewpoints on. When I corresponded with the man who is now my husband, I lied about one thing, and he lied about one thing. The one thing that I lied about was my age, because I was very high energy and athletic for my age. And I figured if somebody's looking for somebody, a real sports-minded, outdoorsy person, they're going to make the assumption that after a certain age, women don't do that. And they'd be wrong about me. So given that it's a computer, if they don't even look for the age that I was, they would never even see my profile. So I would lie about my age until the first meeting. And at that very first meeting, if there was interest, if there was no interest, it didn't matter. But if there was an interest in going forward, I would tell them my real age. And I didn't shave like 20 years. I shaved 4, just to bring me under the benchmark of the next break point. Because, the ones with zeros are a break point, 40, 50, 60. You want to fall under those by a couple of years. And then even the midpoint ones are significant, not as the zero, but, 45, 55. So you might want to fall under those benchmarks, just so there aren't preconceived notions that, you're going to be over the hill. So I had shaved 4 years off my age. My husband, who was the guy who was now my husband, had lied that his divorce was done. It was actually just begun. Now, just begun meant it had been underway for a year. It took 4 years. So he was thinking, okay, it's been going on for a year, it'll be over soon, and, women wouldn't even look at him. And he was right, I wouldn't have even looked at him if I knew that he was not yet divorced. So he said he was, already divorced. And then, of course, when we met and we got talking and stuff, and it turned out, well, not really. Actually, he was at my house is what happened. He was at my house, and his estranged wife called. And his name was still on the caller ID at the house. And so I'm looking at his name coming up on the caller ID while he's standing next to me. And I said, gee, who knows that you're here? And he said, I didn't tell anybody. And I held up the caller ID. I said, well, somebody knows. I was livid. I was sure he was married and playing around on the side, and I'd been stupid, and I'd been had. And his now ex-wife was very much of a sleuth, and she had gone through his car when he was visiting the kids and come up with my name and phone number in his car. And so she had called when he was there. And I was still, upset. And so what I told him is I wanted to hear from his lawyer that it was underway. And I wouldn't even trust him to dial the number. He could have had his best friend set up to lie for him. I said, you tell me who the lawyer is, we'll look it up on the internet, and we'll dial that number, and then you can talk to your lawyer there. And I was on the extension phone. And sure enough, his divorce had been underway for over a year.
I'll tell you, you are awesome.
I did it for so long, I saw most of what can happen on the internet.
You could actually start a business. I'm telling you. You could.
I have to jump in. That was so funny. Hello, Miss D.
Hi.
I'm Liz. I also met my husband on the internet. We've been together, it was 16 years in June.
Oh, congratulations.
And your experiences are so vastly different from mine. The only thing we have in common is the first night I took 4 years off my age also.
Oh, geez.
But we met in a chat room. I never used a dating site at all. And
Okay.
yeah, well, this was back in 1998, 1999. There weren't too many around then, I don't
Right,
think.
right.
Yeah. And it's just so funny to hear you talk about your spreadsheets and everything, but it's also very, very smart.
Well, I wanted to be able to say something intelligent when I talked to him, like mention the name of his dog, or how was his son's softball game, or whatever, so that I didn't sound like a total nitwit.
Well, we met in this chat room one night, and we enjoyed talking with each other. So we set up a meeting the next night, and then he asked if he could call me on the phone. And long story short, I was in Kentucky, he was in Florida, and 6 weeks later, 6 weeks later, we met twice in person. Everything clicked on all cylinders. 6 weeks later, I put my house up for sale, turned my 2 week notice in at work, and moved to Florida.
Oh my goodness! And
And
it worked.
we've been together ever since.
Holy cow!
Okay, I'm back.
Awesome.
You didn't miss me, did you?
You needed a potty break. I know. You had an excuse to step away.
I was just giving her a short and sweet story of how Mike and I met, and that we were living together 6 weeks later.
Jeez. Was that scary? I mean,
It was scary, but I was 40 years old. I had never been anywhere. Living in Florida sounded awesome. I told you that my whole life I had that sense of anticipation. And when I
wow.
met him, it went away.
Wow.
And he flew up to see me. 2 weeks later, I flew down to meet his little girl and, see his lifestyle and everything. And when I was getting ready to leave, I said, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to say, well, nice to meet you, have a nice life? Because I said, Kentucky and Florida is not conducive to dating.
Right.
And I'll never forget, it was so funny. He showed me his bank book, and he said, this is how much money I have in the bank. And I said, okay. And after I moved to Florida, I said, why did you show me your bank book? And he said, I just wanted you to know that I could take care of you.
Oh, wow.
And I was at a crossroads. I talked to my daughter about it. She was 20 at the time, and she said, Mom, I think you ought to go for it.
Wow.
And I did. And
Wow.
he's 10 feet away from me in the bedroom sleeping.
How cool.
Talk about dating and they go to sleep. Okay.
Well,
That is so romantic.
I wasn't quite able to do all that because I had kids, and my ex wouldn't let me leave. My kids were, underage. They were under 18. And my ex would not let me leave the state with the kids. So I wasn't able to move. The guy I married looked into moving to my state. He had, he took some job interviews and they didn't pan out. And when my ex ended up leaving the state himself, he just up and moved suddenly. It was like, well, I guess I'm free to go now. So that's when I moved.
And that's one thing also, when one or the other have small children, it's a whole
Hard.
different world. My daughter was 20, his daughter was 3.
Yeah, well,
And
I had a couple of kids. I had one that was grown and a couple still at home, and one turned 18 like 8 months before I moved. The other one was she had just done her first year of high school, so she still had 3 years of school left. And so it was a big deal. It was very hard on her because we had been like 15 years in the same house. So that was home. So she was leaving home. It was
Mm-hmm.
tough. It was very
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you both prevailed. Well, good for you. I can't wait for my luck. I think I need that little
Spreadsheet.
sheet that you have. That was my problem. I wasn't organized that well.
And too, if you talk to someone enough, if they're lying to you, you will pick up on it.
Well, there's also the internet. There's a lot you can check out on the internet to verify their, like I said, whether or not they've got a divorce decree and whether or not they work for the company they say they work for, because depending on what it is, a lot of companies have like photos of their employees, even
Yeah, there's
online.
a lot more that you can do now.
Right. So there's a lot of ways to validate that they are who they say they are. And the earlier you do it, the better off you are to feeling that you're on the right track, that this person isn't something out of left field.
But I'm like
Wow.
your husband. I don't know if I would ever do it again or not.
Well, it wasn't something in either case, either me and my husband or you and yours, where you said, I think I'll go on the internet and find somebody far away. You know, it
No,
wasn't quite what you were looking for. It's just kind of the way it happened.
definitely the way it happened was meant to be.
Absolutely, and I do believe that. I do believe that click when you meet them is it's meant to be, and things just sort of lock into place. Very
Oh,
cool.
that's so romantic.
It's very cool.
Oh,
Still, you can be Betty the Sleuth. You
You
are
can be what?
Betty the Sleuth.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Check things out. Well, what other issues came up for you, Kathy, when you were trying to do it?
Oh my God. I want somebody that nobody was on island. So
Yeah.
I could never get that face to face. And it was like you said, I never even thought, that maybe, these people may have been talking to three or four other people until recently, with a couple of them. And I made the remark and then they disappear. And it's like, okay, that's not a good sign.
Well, I was
Um,
I was going to say that that's another thing is that a lot of guys, maybe not all, but a lot of guys really hate confrontation. So to kind of get in their face, even gently, about, geez, where were you on Monday? I tried to call you 3 times, or whatever. They don't want to hear that. They just don't want to hear that. So you just sort of put it in the back of your mind that, okay, there are other people there, and act accordingly. That there's other people in the picture, and what can you do to make yourself irresistible so they decide that they don't need these other people?
oh my God, that sounds like so much friggin' effort.
Well, that's why I said I didn't do this until I was up for it. In fact, once I would get on, once my work life or whatever was so under control, I felt, okay, for the next 4 weeks, I can do this. I would get on 2 or 3 sites. I'd figure, man, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. That's part of why I needed a spreadsheet.
Oh my God. Yeah,
And what else
yeah.
I did early on until I figured out what worked for me is I wrote several different profiles emphasizing different aspects of my personality to see what got the best response. So I had one that was very romantic, and I don't mean sex, I mean romance, one that was very, very romantic. And I had one that was very just kind of down to earth, girl next door kind of thing. And I had another one that was more corporate kind of thing. Corporate thing got not none, but very, very low response. That didn't go over well at all. The romantic one got a ton of responses, and they were all like leeches. They were all like they wanted to twine around you and just suffocate you. And I mean, it was just like gag me. It did not get the kind of guy I wanted. It got a ton of response, but not the kind of response I wanted. And I was like, oh, okay, scratch that. That doesn't work for me.
Well, what worked?
Well, what worked was being more kind of straight up the middle, which I guess is mostly what I am, just speaking my mind and laying out the athletic activities that and not trying to overdo, let's see, how many different things that I do in the last 10 years. It's more like, okay, what are the 2 or 3 things I really, really like to do? And, just say a few words about them. And that brings up another thing. What you want to do is pique their interest, but leave a lot of mystery. Leave a lot of things sort of hidden that they have to contact you to find out. And I'd set it up and make it easy. I'd say things like, I love to downhill ski, and move on to another topic. And it's like, well, where do you ski? And do you ski like the double black diamonds, or do you ski the middle of the road, the blues, or, what's your favorite ski area? I just leave all of that out. Just, geez, I really enjoy skiing, and, I like to do this, and kind of give them, food for thought, something that they can, jump on if they're interested. And give them
Short
some
and
easy
sweet.
questions. Yeah, yes, short and sweet. Enough to be interesting and intriguing, but not tell them your whole life story like you're applying for a job and you've got a resume of every job you ever held. Just sort of a few key pieces of what makes you you, and a couple things about what you're looking for. You can look at their profile and see if they match. You don't want to sound like you're so picky they have to have 185 different good qualities for you to even consider them. Even if they do, need to have all that to consider them. You just kind of give a few of the highlights of what you're looking for, and make it look easy, make it sound easy for them.
We're at the end, Miss D. So
I'm
thank
sorry.
you so much. That was so great. We're going to have to do this again.
All righty. Will do.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. All right, everybody. We'll be right back after this break. The Quantum Leap, Let Light Unite. And this is the second hour, October 13th, 2015. And this hour, we're going to do a light circle and direct it toward Japan, Fukushima, and some of the reptilians that are creating it. But of course, this is Revolution Radio at Freedom's Lips, and this is listener sponsored. So we really need you guys to call in and donate. Even a Starbucks cup of coffee all adds up. So anything you can do, we'd really appreciate, because without you, we wouldn't be on the air. So you can go to their website at Revolution Radio, and they've got a couple donation buttons there. And then you can also get some really cool products that they have. And you can buy our old shows and, have mutually beneficial experience. And I always say that when you are in a money crunch and you seem to be stuck, it's time to give, because that creates space for the Creator to make space to give you something in return, whatever that is that you've earned karmically. What goes around comes around. So again, all donations are really accepted and really appreciated. And go to Revolution Radio's website and help us out. And if you want to find more about me, you can go to my website at www.angelliteom.com. That's ANGLITEOM.com. And I've got a couple books there. One is for free, you can download. And they're both on spiritual basics. The second book, I have a lot of my power prayers in it. So if you're feeling really, really helpless, you can get the book and, look up whatever power prayer applies to that situation, because I got many. And focus your energy and help shift that situation so you're not feeling helpless. Or, I've got a lot of stuff on YouTube. I'm on Google+, and I do a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook. I always put my power prayers up there, and you can always look in my notes. I have all my power prayers in my notes on Facebook under Cathy Bilsky. So there's a lot of ways. And then, oh my goodness, if you want to see me in person, you can come to Hawaii, the Big Island, and I have a rock shop in Honoka'a, the little town of Honoka'a. It's a beautiful little town. And the name of my store is called Cathy's Angelite Crystals, Miracles and Joy. And I do little free mini massages with my angel light tools for anybody who's open. I also do curse removals and energy balancing. And you can also go to my website, and if you look under free healing, I have my curse removal there that you can download for free. And I consider that part of my what I consider a maintenance program. Because if you're really doing your work, you're going to have somebody pissed off at you somewhere. So that is there for you to get for free. And then again on YouTube, I even have my soul retrievals there, and I've done a double soul retrieval on radio. If you really want some forward movement, and it's free. It's my gift to you. I would like your life to be easier, for you to have forward movement and be successful. The more successful you are, the more we are going to quantum leap the world into enlightenment. So let's talk about, again, Fukushima and the nuclear radiation that's coming out of there. And earlier, at the beginning of the program, I did read to you how high the radiation level is. And if this doesn't give you the shakes, and if you shouldn't be concerned, I don't know what will, because it isn't pretty. And it's awful. All the governments are complicit. None of them are speaking out or telling their populations to be careful from the fallout, from the radiation fallout, from the nuclear disaster in Japan. And what makes it really worse is Japan has a new kind of Fukushima fascism. They have a new secrecy law that can make Japan's democracy a relic of its pre-Fukushima past. Spelling it out, people opposed to the state secrets bill hold a protest banner in Tokyo, which they've done. And when they do and they hold protests, the sites are always infiltrated by organized crime. Now, there are actually horrifying signs of ecological disasters, not only in the Pacific, but on human health impacts in the U.S. and all around the world. But within Japan, a new State Secrets Act makes such talk punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Taro Yamamoto, a Japanese legislator, says the law represents a coup d'etat leading to the recreation of a fascist state. The powerful Ashi Shimbun, and excuse my I don't speak Japanese that well, newspaper compares it to conspiracy laws passed by can't even speak English today, totalitarian Japan in the lead up to Pearl Harbor, and warns it could end independent reporting on Fukushima. Now, if Japan can't tell us about how bad the radiation is from Fukushima, I mean, come on, that's where the problem is. So Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been leading Japan in an increasingly militaristic direction. Tensions have increased with China. Massive demonstrations have been renounced with talk of treason. But it's Fukushima that hangs most heavily over the nation and the world. Tokyo Electrical Power has begun the bring down. Now, this was written a couple years ago by Harvey Wasserman, and, it's just so appropriate because Japan still has a secrecy law. And if we don't talk about it, again, everything is just kind of shoved right under the rug, isn't it? So TEPCO, which is Tokyo Electrical Power, has clamped down on media coverage and complains about news helicopters filming the fuel rod removal when they were doing this a couple years ago. Now, under the new State Secrets Act, the government could ban and arrest all independent media under any conditions at Fukushima, throwing a shroud of darkness over a disaster that threatens us all. Now, did you remember what I said about Billings, Montana having the highest radiation level in the United States at what, 2,710? This is scary. And by all accounts, whatever cleanup is possible will span, oh my God, beyond decades. Now, the town of Fairfax, California has now called for a global takeover of Fukushima, and I agree with them on this. More than 150 signees have asked the UN for such intervention. So go look them up on the internet, the town of Fairfax, California, and ask them what their policy now is about the global takeover of Fukushima. Now, as private corporation, TEPCO is geared to cut corners, slash wages, and turn the cleanup into a private profit center. And it will have ample opportunity. The fuel pool at Unit 4 poses huge dangers that could take years to sort out, but so do the ones at Units 1, 2, and 3. The site overall is littered with thousands of intensely radioactive rods and other materials whose potential fallout is thousands of times greater than what hit Hiroshima in 1945. Now, soon after the accident, TEPCO slashed the Fukushima workforce. It has since restored some of it, but has cut wages. I mean, we're talking SOBs, don't you think? Shady contractors shuttle in hundreds of untrained laborers to work in horrific conditions. Reuters says the site is heavily infiltrated by organized crime, raising the specter of stolen radioactive materials for dirty bombs and even more. Thousands of tons of radioactive water now sit in leaky tanks built by temporary workers who warn of their shoddy construction. They are sure to collapse with another strong earthquake. Cancel clear. TEPCO say it may just dump the excess water into the Pacific anyway. There's no may about it. They are. Nuclear expert Arjun Makhijani has advocated the water be stored in supertankers until it can be treated, but the suggestion has been ignored. Hundreds of tons of water also flow daily from the mountains through the contaminated site and into the Pacific. Nuclear engineer Arnie Gunderson long ago asked TEPCO to dig a trench filled with absorbents to divert that flow, but he was told that would cost too much money. This is really criminal. And of course, now TEPCO wants to install a wall of ice, but that can't be built for a long time. And it's unclear where the energy to keep the wall frozen will come from, or if it'll work at all. Meanwhile, radiation is now reaching record levels in both the air and the water. Fallout is all over. You know, it's been detected off the coast of Alaska. Oh my God, it's all around the world. Massive disappearances of sea lion pups, sardines, salmon, killer whales, and other marine life are being reported, along with a terrifying mass disintegration of starfish. One sailor has documented a massive dead zone out 2,000 miles from Fukushima. Impacts on humans have already been documented in California and elsewhere. Without global intervention, long-lived isotopes from Fukushima will continue to pour into the biosphere for decades to come. The only power now being produced from Fukushima comes from a massive new windmill, just recently installed offshore. Amid a disaster it can't handle, the Japanese government is still pushing to reopen the 50 reactors forced shut down since the meltdowns. It wants to avoid public fallout amidst a terrified population And on the 2020 Olympics, scheduled for a Tokyo region now laced with radioactive hotspots, at least one on-site camera has stopped functioning. The government has also apparently stopped helicopter-based radiation monitoring. A year ago, a Japanese professor was detained 20 days without trial for speaking out against the open-air incineration of radioactive waste. Now Prime Minister Abe can do far worse. The Times of India reports that the State Secret Act is unpopular and that Abe's approval ratings, of course, is dropped with its passage. But the new law may make Japan's democracy a relic, again, of its pre-Fukushima past. It's the cancerous mark of a nuclear regime bound to control all knowledge of a lethal global catastrophe now ceaselessly escalating. And that was from Harvey Wasserman. And my God, have you called the White House to complain, to bring it their attention? And if you haven't, let me give you their phone number. The White House phone number is 202-546-1111. It's 202-546-1111, and I am sure they'd be more than happy to talk to you and ask them why they are not doing anything about Fukushima. Why aren't they telling everybody in the United States and elsewhere in the world to be careful, to be more conscious? Because when you are, you're going to live differently. You cleanse more, you take your vitamins, you change your food habits. You may not play in the rain or the snow like you used to because it's radioactive. You take extra precautions when you fly in an airplane. You do whatever you can to make yourself healthier so you stay alive and you can protest and we can change this. So let's do a light circle. And we're going to focus on a little bit on the reptilians, and then we're going to focus on Fukushima. So for those of you that are participating, sit down, put your feet flat on your floor, close your eyes, and just start breathing deeply, but not so you hyperventilate. And feel that golden cord come up from the top of your head, reconnect with the Creator, and all this incredible high healing energy comes pouring down that cord, and it enters the top of your head, just pours into your body. So in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine now we're sitting in this huge circle, and you've got someone on your right, your left, and you're holding their hands. In the center, we're going to put my big Earth Keeper crystal to amplify our work 100,000-fold. So I want you to feel that divine energy flow down and allow it to flow out your right hand. And feel that energy go into the person's hand next to you. And we're going to form this beautiful circle. And feel this energy now just flow. And as the energy flows to the right, we're going to call in Sai Baba, Shirdi Baba, Prima Sai, Jesus, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Mohammed, all the gods and goddesses of light, all the archangels, air, earth, fire, and water. And we're going to invite them in to add their divine energy to what we're doing to amplify our work. We're going to call to your divine mate, your twin flame, and ask that they send one of their soul selves and feel them stand behind you and putting their hands on your shoulder and sending that energy to raise our work even higher. And feel your guardian angels stand between on the right, and they're putting their hands over your hands to amplify our work. Now send love and light to the left, and as the energy flows to the left, the circle is now closed, so only that which is light may enter. We're going to call to the trees and ask that the trees take this energy and send it into the earth, through the branches and roots, through the roots, so the earth can feel what we do. and really give her an energy goose and allow the energy to flow through the branches so all life forms can feel this high energy we're putting out. We call to all the rock stones, crystals, minerals, all the earth keepers to lock into the big earth keeper in the center and amplify our work 100,000-fold. We call to all the grids, ley lines, meridians, dome, obelisks, all the sacred and holy spots on the planet to lock into this divine light circle. And I'm going to ask that everyone participating receives the healing that they need. So I want you now to imagine in your mind's eye you're going to let go of their hands, and you're going to allow this high healing energy now to flow through you, flow down your arms and out your hands. And we're going to create this huge bubble of light. And in the bubble of light, in the center, above the big Earth Keeper crystals, we're going to put in this bubble a prayer to help the reptilians reconnect to the Creator. Let there be light in the name of the presence of God, which I am, through the magnetic power of the sacred fire vested in me, I command. We call to the Creator as all the data, past, present, and future of the reptilian personal blueprint to activate the information that allows for healing of all thoughts and memories that are blocking and holding reptilians back at this time from moving forward into enlightenment. We ask the Creator that if it is for the highest good of the earth and all life forms, that the Creator steps in, neutralizing the single white chromosome that is added to the reptilians' DNA that makes the reptilians more aggressive and warlike. We see it being replaced with a chromosome that makes them kinder and compassionate, compelling them to speak only truth. We ask the Creator to reactivate the hormone in the reptilian brain that allows them to become spiritual beings. This also lets the reptilians now be released from all addictions they have to the dense physical world and the sensation it offers. Let this release be done now. We cut all ties and cancel clear all reptilian DNA energies activated by the vibrational frequencies created by the Illuminati, Satanic, Secret Society rituals that activate demon possession by the reptilians, especially in those that have the reptilian bloodline. We are now cutting ties and removing all blueprint overlays that suppress reptilian souls. As these overlays are removed, they are now open to a spiritual existence. This also allows them to balance their male-female energies, which will also allow reptilians to create a third force of divine potential. We cancel clear all Illuminati, Secret Society rituals that are activating the reptilian DNA in reptilians as well as human hybrids. Instead, we see these rituals being reversed and now empowering reptilians to reconnect to Source. Love can and is changing their genetic code, reconnecting them to the Creator to become awakened spiritual beings that have unlimited potential. We ask the creators to give reptilians special grace and unlock the doors in their minds that are keeping them from connecting to the higher frequency of light. Release all that which are holding them back. I ask all the creators to close down the reptilian part of the brain and open up the divine God brain, filling them with whatever high vibration is needed to shift them so everyone gets to go into the golden age, leaving no one behind. Send these beings and entities whatever vibration, sound, color, and memories of being connected to the Creator they need so they gently evolve into the light. The Creator, their higher selves, and angels know exactly what each one needs and are sending it to them as we speak. As more reptilians awake, see us propelling ourselves far into the divine golden age, way beyond the Creator's wildest dreams of a golden age planet where humans and reptilians live in peace and harmony. Nevertheless, not our will, but thy will be done. So take a deep breath, and as you exhale, release this bubble of light to manifest. So again, take another deep breath and imagine all this divine energy flowing down into your crown chakra, through your arms, out your hands. And we're going to form another bubble of light in the center of this circle. And we're going to start working with Fukushima. So let there be light in the name of the presence of God, which I am, through the magnetic power of the sacred fire vested in me, I command. In the highest light for the greater good of all and the whole, we give our angels, ascended ones, celestial brothers and sisters, creator of all that is, God, goddess, goddesses, permission to give those in position of power to help and act on the behalf of us all in the highest light, a solution now. We call the higher selves of Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Japan's nuclear experts who are teamed with TEPCO management, who are now attempting to regain control of the facility, to put their egos aside, allowing outside help to come in now. We call the higher selves of all decision makers on the planet to also put your egos and agendas aside and make some effort into solving the nuclear challenge now, or be put in a position of harmlessness. Please, Creator, prevent further negative events from unfolding. May solution be found now and technologies come forth to clean up the existing damage that has taken place and prevent any further catastrophe from happening. May the solutions that come forth deactivate and return the site to wholeness and all other sites around our planet also that are out of balance with sacred natural laws of the universe. We thank you with love and gratitude. We call the higher selves of everyone on earth that is sending any energy to help calm the nuclear challenge in Japan, asking permission to work with all their energy and create one huge group energy. Imagine a beautiful bubble of healing energy forming now over all of Japan and the nuclear reactors. This energy is such a high healing vibration that is sending the elementals what they need to calm down and work in harmony with each other again. As all our energies are combined, we now call to all the living masters, all magicians on the planet, the angels and the Creator now know who they are, for there are too many for me to name. As a group, I ask that they add their divine energy to the healing bubble over Japan. Let their energy now also be amplified 100 million fold. We call to all the divas and highly evolved elementals to step in and help these elementals remember the shape they should be in now. We call to the Creator and whatever God, goddess, highly evolved being that you work with to please step in. Help us calm the nuclear reactors down. If humanity has any divine grace is coming, let us draw on that karma now and ask that it be applied to calming and stopping all that is nuclear. See all this high divine healing love energy now combine and flow into the bubble. Imagine the elementals feeling all this love, remembering that they are on the planet to mirror beauty. Let us re-anchor divine light in every nuclear reactor and see that light expanding to consume the buildings. See light being re-anchored in each of the spent fuel rods. See light re-anchor in every drop of water that is being used in nuclear reactors. See healing light being re-anchored to the earth under the reactors, now spreading throughout Japan. See light re-anchored in every atom molecule that makes up radiation. Let's add the violet flame to help transmute that particle that creates radiation. As these high light energies combine, it fills up the empty spaces in the radiation molecule that allows it to neutralize and turn into harmless matter. We call the violet flame through all waters coming out of the nuclear plant. Then reconnect the water element to the Creator, filling it up with a high frequency of light. We command the water elemental to let the heat burn out through the flame, the violet flame, cooling itself down and becoming harmless. We imagine lots of cold granite, tumbled rocks on the surface of the water beneath the nuclear reactors and the ocean that are formed like steps. Under this, we place very cold Arctic air that keeps the rocks cool. As any radiation water escapes and flows over these rocks, the water cools itself. We anchor the violet flame to the rocks, so as the water flows over the rocks, it is being constantly transmuted till it is harmless. We call to the elementals that are creating this nuclear challenge: air, earth, fire, and water, wind, all metals, all misshapen elementals, to feel our love for you. We know you did not choose to become what you are now. Because of our love for you, we call to Michael the Archangel to come forth and cut all ties to that which created you and anything that is trying to amplify this challenge, making it worse. As the ties are cut, we now call the violet flame to blaze through you 100 million-fold. We command all these elementals to now let their anger burn out through the violet flame. As the violet flame blazes through every cell, atom, molecule, transmuting all negative energy you had to take on and become. See the violet flame cleanse and purify, helping the elementals release all their anger through the flame. As the violet flame is helping the elementals transmute their energy from dark to light, to love, let us now put our attention to. We ask the elementals to now work and guide anyone who is trying to repair all the reactors, allowing themselves to be repaired. See all those people becoming divinely inspired on how to solve any problem that arises quickly, efficiently, and safely. See humans, angels, deities working together in harmony to calm the reactors down. Any life form that has been affected by any kind of radiation, we ask that their DNA strands are now reconnected to the Creator, filling them up with so much light that their DNA becomes and stays healthy. God, we are asking for a big miracle here. We are united in love. You see the planet becoming a free, awakened planet, and we would love to continue to grow in that light. The planet is asking for divine intervention. Give us a chance to keep growing and evolving into the higher consciousness you dream for us to become. We are evolving. Send us your grace and wisdom we need to clean up the nuclear mess. We are open to receiving your guidance. We ask that you also fill this bubble of light over Japan with your healing grace, anchoring that energy of heaven to earth. Really, God, we're open to any suggestions you want to give us. We're open to receiving your divine words and willing to put them in divine action. Bring us all we need to overcome this challenge. Didn't you say for every challenge there's a solution? Well, bring it, show us. And as always, not our will, but thy will be done. So let's fill that bubble of light and fill it all up with light and love. And let's take a deep breath and release it. All right, again, imagine that bubble forming in the center. And in this bubble of light, we're going to put all those who are repairing Japan's nuclear reactors in this bubble, or actually any nuclear reactor on the planet, but mostly Japan's. So let there be light in the name of the presence of God, which I am, through the magnetic power, sacred fire vested in me, I command. We call to the Creator and all divine beings of light, and we ask that special grace be given the people that are doing the repair work on the nuclear reactions in Japan or anywhere in the world. We ask that any negative karma that they have taken on for the world by accepting the nuclear repair work be cut from them, then transmuted by the violet flame. I ask that the grace they are earning by doing this dangerous job be enough to earn them good health now and in the future. We ask the Creator, if it's for the highest good, they receive healing now. See this good karma come back to them now. We command the angels to give them extra shielding from any radiation that can harm them. With these workers' permission, let's take a moment to send energy to their life force. We ask that all these beings be given all the energy and divine inspiration they need to complete their jobs safely and very efficiently. We ask Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, to remove all blocks in their way that is stopping them from being successful in their jobs, including removing the blocks from all politicians and TEPCO. See them being given all the tools, equipment, and proper protective clothing needed to be successful and safe. We see lots of divine inspiration and new ideas flowing to them now. As these blocks and veils are removed, see the Japanese government putting their egos aside so they may bring in people from all walks of life that have solutions to work on the nuclear challenge. We see these people being given all the inspiration needed to put all these reactors out of harm's way, putting them in a position of harmlessness. We ask that all nuclear elementals now work with these people to help them do their jobs quickly and safely. See angels, humans, and elementals working in divine harmony to shut the reactors down safely. And as we send violet flame and love to the radioactive material, we envision the radioactive material to become non-lethal to these people and all of Earth while they are doing the repair work and afterwards. We imagine these repair people becoming completely surrounded in the energy of angel light, which gently releases all their aches and discomfort. Any place in their bodies that may be exposed to the radiation, we call the violet flame, through the areas, as well as we ask that a very high healing energy come down from the Creator to touch every cell, atom, molecule in their bodies, going all the way down to their DNA, correcting anything that is becoming out of balance and healing it from now on and for the rest of their lives, for they have earned this grace. These people are all angels doing God's work, giving the world a miracle we are all praying for. May they be given everything they and their families need to live their lives in much comfort for taking on this mission. See all countries honoring these people for their bravery and acts of selfless courage. We send the violet flame through any sea or airborne radiation coming from Japan, asking it to be transmuted, and see all that energy that is harmful transmuting back to light. We reconnect every atom particle back to the Creator, filling it up with so much love. It changes to something now beneficial to life. We send energy to the air molecules that eat acid rain, and as this is done, they split in two, and the new molecules eat the radiation, clearing our skies and seas. We ask that all energy veils over all walks of life that are keeping people from knowing about the nuclear challenge be removed so they have clear conscious vision and protect their families as is needed. Let people be guided to speak their voices of protest in ways they will be heard and have big impact on nuclear issues. As people awaken to the dangers of nuclear, they refuse to allow any more nuclear plants of any kind be built. Then see to it that all other working nuclear plants be safely deactivated and closed down. See any politician who still wants nuclear being removed from all positions of authority, being replaced with a person who wants green energy through solar, wind, or water. And this can mean that politicians simply decide to stay at home and retire and spend more time with their families. We ask the Creator, if it's for the highest good of the planet, to fill the entire repair people up with so much divine loving energy that they function at a high super awareness that helps them complete their jobs safely. We call to the higher selves of all politicians involved that have some level of responsibility in creating this disaster to stop blocking the solutions from coming forward and being used. If they choose to stand in the way, I ask their guardian angels and higher selves to put them in a position of harmlessness or prison time, replaced with a compassionate human who wants to see this nuclear world challenge stopped and makes effort toward that goal. We cut all ties to any oaths, vows, rituals the decision makers in all countries have taken together that lets them ignore the radiation issue and ask their higher selves to replace that with a new understanding of the harm they are creating and choose to put their energy into shutting this disaster down. We see lots of hemp being planted in Japan to absorb the radiation. We call the higher selves of all life forms, asking that everyone is reconnected to the Creator and receives the DNA healing, as well as being guided to the proper foods, vitamins, and minerals they need to stay healthy. And again, nevertheless, not our will, but thy will be done. And let's fill this up with light and love, and take a deep breath and release it. So again, imagine another bubble of light forming in the center, and we're going to put Japan and the nuclear reactors in the center. And using the power of the spoken word, let's put a lot of feeling into this. So again, imagine a bubble of light forming in front of you, and we're putting again all the out of control nuclear reactors in Japan. So we call down from the Creator the very heavy dirt energy to descend down and entombing full circle all the nuclear reactors in Japan that are out of control. See them completely buried in this very heavy dirt energy. See this manifesting in the physical now. We cut all ties to all greed that is keeping this from happening. So in your mind's eye, imagine all this heavy divine dirt energy, very heavy energy, descending down around the nuclear reactors and completely burying them now. And again, we call down the divine heavy dirt energy to descend down around all the nuclear reactors, completely burying them now, manifesting now into the physical. And again, we call down divine heavy dirt energy to descend down around all nuclear reactors, completely burying them now, manifesting now into the physical. So now in your mind's eye, we're going to call down a divine energy layer of cement, 5 foot thick, then a 5 foot divine energy layer of lead on top of the cement, with another 5 foot divine energy layer of crystal on top of that to encapsulate it all now. So imagine a divine layer of cement, 5 foot thick, then another 5 foot divine energy layer of lead on top of the cement, with another 5 foot divine energy layer of crystal on top of that to encapsulate it all now. And using the power of 3 times 3, one more time, let's call down a divine energy layer of cement, 5 foot thick, then a 5 foot divine energy layer of lead on top of the cement, with another 5 foot divine energy layer of crystal on top of that to encapsulate the nuclear reactors now. We see all the radiation now being contained and neutralized in this bubble of light we created. We anchor the violet flame under all the nuclear reactors, amplified 100 million fold, to transmute all out of balance energy all the elementals have taken on. As they feel the divine violet flame, the elementals calm down. We call the violet flame through everyone living in Japan, every cell, atom, molecule going all the way down into everyone's DNA. We ask their higher selves to allow the violet flame to transmute any radiation they may have absorbed into their bodies, replacing that with their divine blueprint for perfect health, which is now activated. We ask that this be done for all life forms on the planet. We call the higher selves of all the Japanese people being affected and ask that they be divinely guided to plant lots of hemp plants and mushrooms all over their islands. We see hemp and mushrooms growing all over Japan, pulling the radiation out of the air and land. Oh, Creator, if there is anything else that neutralizes the radiation, please bring it to everyone's minds and hearts that are open to receive and willing to share this knowledge freely. We see many people being given the answers now. We now send very cold Arctic cooling energy through the dirt all the way down into all the spent rods, lowering their temperatures to keep everything cool. Let's call the violet flame through the spent rods. We ask that all heat now reduces as the elementals lets their anger burn out through the violet flame and not in the physical. As we reconnect all these elementals back to the Creator, see them fill up with divine love. Now command them to be neutral or only emit love. See everyone surprised and joyful over the news that the reactors are calming down, that the repair people are divinely inspired on what to do to totally decommission them in ways the environment will not be hurt or harmed. Call the violet flame through all the nuclear radiation in land or sea, asking that it burn out all that angry energy through the flame, neutralizing itself, becoming harmless. We ask that all veils that are keeping humanity from seeing the radiation challenge of Fukushima are removed from them. And as they are reconnected to the Creator, becoming awakened conscious beings, they're given the divine solutions to solve the world's nuclear problems in love. We see all veils being removed off of the newspapers, TV, radio stations, news reporters, and TV anchors that were keeping them from speaking the truth. See everyone now talking about Fukushima and the nuclear challenge we're in, including all schools, offices, colleges, at your water cooler, your workplace, and see everyone talking about how they can stay healthier. And as people share information about Fukushima, see them being given many awesome divine solutions that are put into practical application. So again, fill this all up with light and love and take a deep breath and release it. All right, so again, let's create another bubble of light. And in this bubble of light, I want you to put yourself, and this is going to be a healing bubble, and put your families in it, anybody that you know that needs any kind of healing. And as we put them in this bubble of light, we call Michael the Archangel to come forth and cut all ties to anything that is creating any disease in their body, or it's keeping them from moving forward and completing their missions in joy. And as that energy is released, it goes through the violet flame back to God. Then we call the violet flame through everyone in this bubble of light to help them transmute any out of balance energy in their bodies. And as this violet flame burns through, it transmutes, it raises the energy, and allows everyone to reconnect to the Creator. And as you reconnect to the Creator, everyone becomes more of a conscious, awakened spiritual being. You're more aware of your spiritual gifts. And it's joyful to put them into practical application. And if there's a person in your life that you're not getting along with, put them in this bubble now. And imagine yourself sitting right in front of them. And if there's a lot of people, you can multiply, we'll clone you. And imagine yourself sitting in front of these people. And we're going to call to Michael to remove the energy that's keeping you from connecting and loving each other and being kind and being able to communicate. And now, just a real quick one. Imagine yourself, just a real quick hug. And say, thank you. I owe you no karma. You know me. You don't owe me any karma. We are karmically clear in this lifetime. So be it. And if you haven't put your kids in this bubble of light, then put your kids in this bubble of light. And we're going to ask that each one of them reconnects to the Creator to become an awakened spiritual being and allowed to bring out their spiritual gifts and be guided to job opportunities if that's what they need. Or whatever gifts that they have, see them magnetize to themselves people that will teach them, that are very, very good, they're very skilled, and are willing to teach them for free as service work. And see these kids receiving everything they need to be successful and joyful and part of the earth movement. All right, so fill everything up with light and love. And let's take a deep breath and release it. All right, so we're going to release everyone's hands. We're going to close the circle. We're going to release all the deities and all the angels that have come and worked with us. And we're going to do 3 ohms to close the circle. All right, let's please ohm with me. Om. 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 Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May all the beings in all worlds be happy. So thank you, everyone, for giving this energy tonight. Please talk about it. Talk to people about Fukushima. You know, I know we didn't get into any healing modalities, but it's all out there online. Look up radiation poisoning. How do you cleanse from radiation? It's all out there. Talk to your friends about it. You may be saving their lives by bringing it up to their attention. You cannot count on our government nor the newspapers or the media to talk about it, because they're not. So be the chatty Cathys and, talk it up. Now, everyone put your feet flat on the floor. Ground. We're going to ground. Feel that earth energy come up. And with every breath, feel yourself becoming more grounded, more back into body. Feel yourself becoming very clear-headed. And if you have hematite, the stone hematite, go grab it so you can ground. And if you can't, then go outside after the show, put your hands on a tree. It doesn't have to be a big tree. Any kind of tree will do. And send all that excess energy into the tree, 30 seconds. And when you're done, ask the tree to send you energy back, and you'll immediately ground and pull back in body, which is very important, which takes me off the karma wheel. And I appreciate it. So talk Fukushima up. It's really important. You may be saving somebody's lives. I hope you have an awesome week this week, and the Creator brings you many of your heart's desires. And if you are a Brasso fan, he's going to do another free gazing this weekend on, I think, 16th, 17th, Saturday and Sunday, this Saturday and Sunday coming up. And go to brasso.me. I personally have had a wonderful experiences with Brasso, which is why I share them with you. And, to me, when people go check them out, I look at it like I'm giving you some kind of present, like a Christmas present or a birthday present, but I don't know what I'm giving you until you get it. Because, whatever you receive from Brasso, it's all tailored to your life and nobody else's. So it's kind of cool. And I wish you much abundance. Practice working with the energy of love and the violet flame. Practice not getting angry with people and stepping back and going, wow, looking at things from a bird's eye view instead of, face to face, and going, wow, maybe there's something more to this person being such a jerk today, or being so angry. Maybe you didn't get enough nookie, whatever, Don't take things so personal. Keep your energy high. How do you do that? Chant or pray. If you're thinking good thoughts, it really makes a difference, and you're going to draw good thoughts to you. And I really want you to be successful and happy. And, if you're going to do that internet dating, I wish you really good luck. I prefer, up close and personal. but I do hope you have a really wonderful week. And again, work with the energy of love and work with, oh, we're done, yay, and work with the violet flame. And aloha.